Welterweight champion of the world, Mary McGee, along with her manager, Brian Cohen. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Doing good. What's up, Brian?
The IBF 140-pound motherfucking champion, Merciless Mary McGee, Gary, Indiana. What's up, Mark?
Doing good. Doing good. We're just getting ready to start another week, which all these weeks and days are running together. So, how's everything going, Mary? Obviously, you just had a big fight on February 8th. You defended your title basically in your hometown in Indiana, in Hammond, right next to Gary. What's life been like since everything is kind of shut down in the last month or so?
It's been kind of like, it's been strange because you can't go to the gym, so you try to do all your workouts on your own, but I mean, outside of that, I try to kind of like get my runs in and do all I can on my own. But it's been kind of strange because I'm used to going to the gym every day, at least 6 days a week.
You talked about doing all your workouts and whatnot, and being able to run and whatever. Will this hurt the momentum? Obviously, you won the world championship in December. You defended it in February. You had a nice momentum fighting every couple months. I assume that you were going to be pretty active for the rest of 2020. How disappointing is it that your momentum stopped a little bit because of everything being shut down?
It's disappointing because I was on a roll. I had 2 knockouts and 2 world title fights. So I was kind of looking forward to moving up into like maybe another world title fight or fighting another world title fighter or something like that. So I was hoping to do something like that maybe this summer. So by us having this coronavirus, it kind of put all plans on hold.
Let's talk a little bit about, take a couple steps back, talk a little bit about you in terms of pre-world championship. Tell the fans out there, when did you start boxing? What got you into the gym? And we'll go from there.
Oh, my. So I started boxing when I was 13 and a half because I was chasing a boy. Not that that's the best, deal. He was a boxer. He was a boxer, and I thought he was cute. And he said he was going to the boxing gym, and I was supposed to be at cheerleading practice, so I followed him down the street to the boxing gym. And when the coach saw me, he said, you can't be here. This is for boys, and boys do boxing. I saw a girl over there. I said, well, there's a girl over there, so I want to box. And he was like, you don't want to box? I was like, yes, I do. So 3 days after I went to the gym, he got me beat up. I thought I was going to quit, but it made me, it rose my competitive side. I wanted to get in there even more after that.
So you started boxing. So you started boxing to be spiteful?
I wouldn't say to be spiteful. I started boxing because it broke. I don't know. I wanted to beat them up. I ain't gonna even lie. They beat me up. I wanted to get them back. I ain't gonna even lie.
You're a world champion now. Where is he today? Or do you know where he's at?
I don't. I far exceeded the level that he was on at that time, and
Wonder if he's read the newspapers and saw that you're a world champion now.
I'm pretty sure. He's from my area, so I'm pretty sure.
So then I guess you start an amateur career. How did that go?
As an amateur, I had about 60 or 70 fights. I know I lost 6 fights because I know the 6 fights I lost by heart. So I lost like 6 fights as an amateur. But a lot of girls in the amateur that I fought maybe 4 or 5 times because it wasn't a lot of us. So, but I had a pretty extensive amateur career. I got a lot of experience compared to a lot of female boxers today. I have my experience far exceeds a lot. So the level of where I fight on, like Brian can call me and offer me to fight anybody within the weight that I fight in, and I pretty much can take them on. Right now I'm 27-3 with 15 knockouts, and that's rare. Mm-hmm. I'm like a unicorn. It's rare to find a female with that many fights or that many wins in women boxing today.
You're from Gary, Indiana. It's a place known for obviously the Jacksons and any of you basketball buffs out there. Glenn Big Dog Robinson, Gary Roosevelt.
Stay around the corner from where I live at right now.
So did you go to Roosevelt High School?
Yeah, I went to Roosevelt.
So I see. I'm a big college and pro basketball, so I know about Gary Roosevelt High School. So it is.
Look at the big brain on you, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
So is Mary McGee on like the part of now the Mount Rushmore of Gary, Indiana?
You know, I guess they would put me on that type of pedestal, but honestly though, I am like a hope for my city because it's really nothing here. So people actually see me here, and then they see me outside working and running, and then to actually fulfill my dream. Like right now, I actually did it. I became a world champion. So I go down in history in my city. So for them, I am like a beacon of hope, I would say. Like that you can be anything you want to be because there is no other female boxer from my area. So I basically seen a path that wasn't there and I made my own, you know. So for them, it's like in my city, it's so downtrodden. When they see me, it's like, man, you can be whatever you want to be. I'm all the way in New York boxing, and I got friends all over the world from boxing. So.
One last question about your city. I guess you've been by the Jackson House. That's a tourist attraction in Gary, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So you turned pro, and now you're linked up with Brian Cohen, who's probably the preeminent female boxing manager out there. To talk about the relationship with you and Brian.
Me and Brian actually talked to each other for 2 years. Let me tell you, me and Brian met under the funniest circumstances. I wonder if he remembers.
I do.
I got into it with one of his fighters a long time ago. Huh?
Who? Go
What,
ahead.
how many years ago was that?
That was
Like
a while ago, man.
About 5 years ago,
Yeah, it was
right?
it was about 5 years ago.
We were beefing so hard, and Brian was trying to be like a mediator. Like, man, come on. Like, he was like, he told me into apologizing, and I'm like, all right, I'll do it for you. You know what I'm saying? But then after that, me and him built just like kind of, I say a friendship relationship. So I was watching how he worked with his female fighters. And by me being a fighter that's pretty seasoned, I can tell if a manager know what he's doing or not. So I paid attention. I said, I'm the fighter that'll be hard to move. And I said, it seemed like this man can move me, so this is who I'm gonna work with. Any manager can get a fighter and just build a fighter up. When you got a fighter that has as many fights as me, it's hard to get me fights. It's expensive, and Brian has been making it happen. Hence, I'm a world champion within a year of us officially saying we'll work together. So. Yeah.
I've known Brian for about 15, 16 years now. I'd say about 90% of his relationships, people didn't like him at first. So I think I don't think you're unique.
I heard the story.
I don't think you're unique in that way. But Brian's. I'll let him speak. Okay.
Hold on. Let me call a time out here. Listen, for those of you who don't like me to kiss my ass.
Oh God.
Listen, I don't scratch my head if it don't itch, and I don't dance if there's no music. So if I'm opinionated, I'm opinionated. I'm gonna be opinionated.
Well, you're from Philly.
If I don't like something,
You're from Philly, baby.
I could be from Philly, Gary, Indiana, Deptford, New Jersey. I could be from a lot of places, but this is just who I am. This is how I was raised. This is how I was brought up. So when I see bullshit, if it looks like bullshit, it smells like bullshit, I'm gonna call bullshit. So that's just how I am, and maybe that's why people don't like me. And I don't let anybody take advantage of any of my fighters.
Amen.
So that's why you'll get the Brian Cohen's an ass. Yeah, I'm gonna be an asshole. But I at the end of the day, I won't let anybody disrespect, rob, or talk shit about my fighters. Because that's just how I am.
Brian, talk about Mary as a fighter. You have a stable of women that's unparalleled. Talk about Mary as a fighter.
Let me say cute while he talks about me. Go ahead, boo.
I don't. You know, Mark. That's the thing. I don't have a stable. I have a family, and that's how I treat all my fighters like they're my family. The pro debuts get treated just as good as the world champions. But let me to speak on Mary as a fighter. Amazing. She's just amazing. She's been amazing to work with. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first started working with her, I told her in 3 fights she's going to be a world champion. And sorry about that. And by the third fight, she was a world champion. You know, so she's amazing to work with. She listens. She's a student of the game. I can't say anything. You know. She the last fight that she did on February 8th, she could have actually hogged the spotlight. fierceness of her. She brought 5 of her other teammates to fight on the card, 2 of her other teammates to do the announcing, and that just speaks volume of the person that she is. Mary's a single mother, and you know, the amount of respect that I have for her is unparalleled.
Talk about that. He brought up single mother. How difficult is that to to juggle?
Make me lose my leg.
To juggle all that, you know, with having a child, and also, you know, needing the equal amount of time to keep yourself at a world championship level.
That was something. It's funny we mentioned that because that was something me and Brian just spoke about the other day. Because I was like, Brian, you know what? I think I'm the only female fighter right now that's a world champion and has a preschool age child. I said, some people don't understand how difficult it is just for me to get outside to go for a run. Like, you don't know how dedicated I have to actually be to do this. So I have to try to, like, sneak out of the house in the morning and call my mom to sit down here with him for an hour so I can get my runs in the morning. Or I have to miss out on things with him just to get in tip-top shape for a fight. So it's like very important for me to know time. Like, okay, I have to know when a fight is because I have a 5-year-old. So he has schoolwork, he needs my attention and things of that nature. So I have to know. So for me to actually get in shape, it is a little harder because I have more to take care of than just myself. I have him too. So
any truth to the
late nights he's been in the gym with me, laying there asleep, and I have to carry him out after 3-hour workout, things like that.
Any truth to the rumor, Brian, that your background is for Mary's son?
It is. Man, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So
and let me say this, and that exhibits the true heart of a champion, and that's the reason why she's in the position that she's in, because a lot of fighters will make a lot of excuses on why they can't do this and why they can't do that, and for her to prioritize and make her time just speaks volumes of the heart and determination that she has. So I mean, you know, it's hard. It's I can imagine how hard. I stopped fighting when my daughter was born. I stopped fighting because I knew I wouldn't be able to do and train how I used to train when you know my daughter's here. So you know, you gotta give her all the props in the world for that.
And that's another thing that made me love Brian, because I watched his relationship with his daughter. So I knew he would understand how I felt, because it honestly, it's like a bittersweet when you're a world champion, because you miss out on a lot of time with your kid because you have to train. And I love boxing too, but you know, it's like a good balance. So in a way, I'm not going to, the coronavirus, it really didn't upset me too bad, because I actually got a chance to sit and spend time with my child without worrying about, oh my God, I have to go to the gym. We can't go to the gym. So I was able to actually sit here and spend time with him. And that was a blessing, because if Brian would have called me and been like, hey, Mary, I got another fight for you, I would have been trained. So,
Brian.
And that's the thing too, and a lot of people don't know, prior to that IBF world title fight, that fight was off, on. So she actually trained for like 8 months for that fight. You know what I mean? So, and she spent a lot of time away from her child. And you know, I don't want to say I'm glad that she got the time to spend, you know,
I am too.
With her son, because, you know, it's hard. A lot of people don't realize, man, being in boxing, not just being a boxer in and of itself, is hard to miss Halloween and to miss holidays, to not see your kid, you know, and that's I've experienced, and I know a lot of boxers out there experienced it, and for other managers not to have sympathy for that, and to just, you know what I mean, come on, F it, just fight. You know, you have to take into account the emotions and you know, just being away from your kids and being away from your family is rough. So boxers make a lot of sacrifices, and you know, like I said, man, kudos to Mary for, you know, all she does and how hard she trains, because at the end of the day, you have to look at her last 2 fights. The title that she won in a 10th round knockout, right? That's a 10th round knockout against a former world champion. The next fight, she stopped the girl in the 8th round. That means she's just not going out there and blowing girls out of the water, but she's actually breaking them down. So that takes conditioning. That takes smarts. That takes ring generalship. So, you could tell she really pays attention and applies to her craft.
Brian just mentioned that I want to talk about the title defense, because obviously you defended your title in Hammond, which is right down the road from Gary. How much did that mean to you to defend your title basically in your hometown?
Oh, that meant the most to me, and I thank Brian for allowing me the opportunity to do that, to come back and perform in front of the people here. That was important. So yeah, that meant a lot to bring out all the people here at home.
You mentioned that you're one of the only girls, if not the only girls from your area, who's like a known fighter / world champion. I know there's another fighter from down the road in Chicago named Jessica McCaskill, who's right around your weight class, in your weight class. And I know Brian wanted to.
Shots fired. Pop, pop, pop.
I know Brian. So before Brian speaks, a fight with her, how big a fight is that for you at some point in the near future?
Let me talk to you. Now we're going to talk. We're going to talk. So, look, that would be one of the biggest fights in this area, because from this side of town to her side of town, everybody know we don't like each other. We ain't going to even sit here and play. They could get and do interviews and get on here and play all that. Oh, we have no problem with Mary. Y'all don't like my ass. You can get on here and play that game like, we cool, but we not. At the end of the day, it was a situation where I was a free agent, okay? And I was just going to the gym. I really couldn't get in that great of shape because at the time my son was smaller, but I was working with Jessica and Rick off and on, just sparring and things of that nature. But I wasn't doing nothing. So, some time went by, I started getting that itch. I wanted to box. So I was looking for who was best for me, which, granted, like I told you, I had been talking to Brian. So I ended up talking to Rick too, but I was trying to make my decision at the time. So I told Brian I was talking to Rick, and I told Rick I was talking to Brian. So when I did make my decision, one day it was me, him, Jessica, everybody at the gym, and I went up to Rick out of respect, and I told him, I said, you know what, I think I'm going to work with Brian or whatever. I said, thanks for offering to work with me, but I'm going to work with him. After that, everything went to shit. They started talking about me. I ain't got no world title, so they would never fight me. Just a whole bunch of garbage. And at the end of the day, I got in shape. I got with Brian. I got a world title. Now she running the 140, which I'm going to be there too, because I want that fight.
Brian, do you want to...
Listen. so when I heard that they said that to Mary, just being real disrespectful to her, saying Mary has nothing to offer. Well, so I was determined to get her a world title. You have no idea. I didn't want to get one of these little, these little lineal titles or these little made-up belts or anything like that. I wanted to get her one of the big four. So when I seen one was vacant, I lobbied for her to be rated, and thankfully the IBF looked at her background, looked at her pedigree and things like that. They rated her, and she got the opportunity. When it comes to Jessica McCaskill and Rick Ramos, Rick don't know shit about boxing. I'm gonna use the late great Mayweather. He don't know shit about boxing. He don't know anything about boxing. He could go around buying fights in bingo halls for his fighters and shit like that. He don't know anything about boxing. Jessica fought a bunch of bums. I mean, she fought a bunch of champions that were well past their prime. She fought Erica Farias, don't get me wrong, she was a hell of a champion 7-8 years ago. But her teeth are dull. She's an old dog. You know what I mean? Then she came back and fought, who was it, Sanchez? And Sanchez beat the brakes off of her. And obviously they gave it to McCaskill because, Uncle Eddie, got a hand in that. Uncle Eddie is the Vince McMahon of boxing. And, now she's moving up to fight Cecilia Breckhouse for what? That's a stupid fight. Jessica McCaskill used to fight at 132 pounds. Now she's fighting at 147. You know what I mean? So the real money fight is, they're 40 minutes apart. So how do you not make that fight? What kind of idiot doesn't make that fight?
I got the IBF. You got the WBC. You got the WBC and the WBA. What's up?
Why are they not fighting? So you're either an idiot, one, or you're scared. So that's the only two things. So Rick Ramos, you're either an idiot, a complete jackass, or you're scared. That's it.
What about if that fight doesn't come to fruition or not next or whatever? Amanda Serrano is fighting Katie Taylor. Would you like the winner of that fight?
Oh yes, oh yes. And you know, to be honest, I got a lot of respect for Katie Taylor. Even though I feel I can beat her, I do have respect for her because at her level, like, she's basically fighting the best. I give her that. Like, I feel like, watch out, baby. I feel like her last fight with Delphine, though, that was
a lot of people thought Pursoon won that fight.
Yeah, that was a nail biter. But I still feel like, where you going? I'm on the phone. Could you please go back there? Thank you. So I feel like she can be beat. I have the experience. I feel like I can beat her, so that would be a great fight for me to take against Katie Taylor.
And
I mean, I would fight any other top fighters right now in my weight class.
Well, and the thing is, if Amanda can win that fight, you're both promoted by, we talk about Brian being the preeminent manager in women's boxing. You got Lou DeBella, who's probably the preeminent promoter in women's boxing. I believe you're both under the DeBell Entertainment banner. So that could fight. Would you maybe be pulling for Amanda in that fight because it might be a fight a little bit easier to make?
Yeah, I would fight Amanda. I would fight Katie Taylor. I would fight Cecilia Rockets. I would fight Jessica McCaskill. I'll fight Terry.
Not for nothing though. Hold on. Let me jump in. Let me jump in here right now.
Okay.
First off, Mary can beat anybody in natural. The whole natural roster from 135 to 140, 147. You throw in with Mary. Mary beats them all. Easy, right? That's number one. Number two, let me speak something about Lou DeBella. Lou DeBella is the preeminent female boxing promoter. He's been doing it since, before it was cool and before it was a thing, he used to always put females on his card.
Always on the Broadway boxing series, definitely.
Always on the Broadway boxing series. So before it was like the hip thing to do and you know what I mean, the millennial thing to do, he was doing it. So that's why I get along with Lou. I can call Lou. I can bring up an obscure female name and he'll know exactly who I'm talking about. So I can't say enough about Lou DeBella and DeBell Entertainment. And whoever doesn't like him, kiss my ass again.
I'm eating a lot of white chocolate today, baby.
I've asked most of the people I've been interviewing this, Mary. When boxing starts back up, there's probably going to be a rush for dates and, spots are going to fill up quick. You may get a call, say, hey, in 3 weeks this show's happening. Do you want to defend your title? Is that something that you're prepared for? What I'm saying, a short notice. I mean, everyone's going to be short notice.
To everybody else, it might seem short notice.
Yeah.
Brian be already letting me know, so I'm going to be ready for whatever date he say. Me and him already been in talk, click, wrote it out. So I ain't even, honestly, it's hard. Like, I don't really think for myself when it comes to that aspect. I'm just going to put it that way. Because Brian know what I need, and we just go with that. So whatever date he get, I'm taking. There we go.
And we don't take them kind of fights, Mark. You know what I mean? She's an IBF champion. If they have a short notice IBF world champion fight, they can go fight themselves.
What I'm saying is, Brian, I'm sorry, what I was quickly just saying, it's not like a typical short notice thing where, they may be just throwing shows just to make up for lost time, back to back to back to back. That's all I was saying. Not that she'd be called in for short notice.
I mean, they potentially may, and I believe that is what might happen. But at the end of the day, if they're not in shape and the fighters don't feel good about the fight, then we're not fighting.
Gotcha.
The only issue would be, I think, is we haven't been in the gym, so like we're gonna have I ain't gonna say rust, but it's a fighter is used to being in the gym every day. So we haven't been sparring. It's just certain things you have to do before you go out there and fight, because you're putting your life on the line when you actually fighting somebody. So my only thing would be just getting back in the gym, getting some sparring and some power work, making sure I'm sharp. Because like he said, I'm a world champion now, so just jumping out there to jump out there ain't what we do. And I just defended my title unlike everybody else. I mean, I'm just being real. I'm good. I'm good.
Shots were fired.
I'm by the time they open back up, I'm gonna be at the point where it's time to fight again. So our Team Empire good over here.
I would imagine now, just by talking to you, at some point in your career, fights with McCaskill, Taylor, Serrano, Brighthouse, they have to happen at some point in your career. Is that correct?
Yes, and with the record that I have, I already understand that all my fights are going to be with top-notch fighters at this level. Like even if outside of boxing, certain people don't think they're a top-notch fighter. We know, like, some women are underground that y'all haven't discovered yet that are really good fighters. Like the last girl I fought, that was a good toe-to-toe fight. I learned some things, made some mistakes, did some things good in that fight. So for me, I know the level I'm on, every fight gonna be with a top-notch fighter, and I'm prepared to fight whoever.
We got about 2 minutes left. Where can we find you on social media if fans want to follow Merciless Mary McGee?
Well, if you go on Instagram, I'm under Mary McGee, all lowercase, _champion. And on Facebook, it's just Mary McGee.
And anything you want to say out there, the fans who are watching this, anything you want to say in closing?
Keep your eyes out for women boxing, not just myself, for all women boxing, and try to, support us and help us grow.
Brian, you have any last words?
I don't have any last words.
Wow.
All I'm saying is 140. I do. I'm just bullshit. The 140-pound division. Team Empire holds two of the 4 titles in the 140-pound division. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom. I'm challenging all your females, from the 118s to the 147s to the 168s to Savannah Marshall. We'll fight and beat every one of them. Or my name is not.
So Empire against the British Empires. Is that what it's going to be?
That's what it is, baby.
Well, thank you very much, Mary. We'll be definitely following you. And before your next fight, we'll get you back on to preview your fight, and we'll talk to you soon.